Remember last year's amazing trip? That cute first birthday party? All those photos, all those memories can be freed from your phone with a Shutterfly photo book. Rediscover and share your favorite moments with those you love. You'll be amazed how easy it is to make a photo book with Shutterfly and enjoy it for years to come. Get 40% off orders over $29 with code POD40 at Shutterfly.com and make something that means something.
Hey Atlanta, say hello to Small Business Help from Apple. That's right, we're here to make starting and running your business simpler. From helping you choose the right devices to setting them up hassle-free, we can help you build your business in no time. Speak to a business expert and get the help you need at no cost whatsoever. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/smallbusiness or visit an Apple store to learn more.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
It in 2-0, nice 1-2, releasing Bangura Williams, and Bangura Williams plays a lovely ball through here. Ivanovic is through one-on-one with the keeper. Mihailo Ivanovic
what a goal!
Has scored a brilliant goal for Millwall. He gets through and just chips it arrogantly over the keeper, but it's all about the ball through. It just split the defence wide open, and he finishes with aplomb, 1-0.
My word, what a finish. I said it on the weekend, that was a superb goal. That's even better for me. That's a brilliant team goal, and huge credit goes to Rays Bangura Williams and Kasper Denor in the middle of the park there. But the ball through to the Mihailo Ivanovic, he's so composed to serve there, isn't he? And the cheek of him to dunk the goalkeeper like that in front of the travelling Millwall fans there. 2-2 for Mihailo Ivanovic.
Of course, Reece amazing pass, Kasper amazing pass to Reece. So, but I think that our defense today was outstanding. I think that was the key of the winning. You know, so much crosses, so much corners. Our defenders were too good today.
Performed tonight, the lads that performed the other day at Luton. The dedication, the bravery, the determination that they've got. That's another clean sheet. It's 2 wins on the bounce away from home, by the way. We'd only won 1 game all season away from home. So I think what it does show is how much they're fighting for each other.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to a bonus edition of ACHTUNG Millwall. My name is Nick Hart, you're listening to the number 1 Millwall podcast, and I've had an extra voice note, a late voice note from Jim Hackett, and I wanted to, my original intention was to tack it onto the previous edition, but that would have made a mega long show, so I thought I'd do it as a little bonus, a quickie, a morning quickie before you go out, listeners. Set your day up right. I hope you enjoyed that little montage of sounds and vibes from Portsmouth on Tuesday night. It's fantastic, isn't it? The goal, which we've been raving about ever since we saw it on TV on Tuesday night. I was just looking at it before I started recording now, listeners. It is a wonderful piece of artwork, in my opinion, that ball through from Reece Bangura Williams into the path of Mihailo Ivanovic, and the way he put it away is a work of art. I did ask the question in yesterday's edition, can anyone think of an equivalent goal? And Tony Monday, big shout out to Tone, has actually nominated one, which was the second goal, I think it was, at Blackpool, in the build-up to the probably the kind of like the final hurrah of Gary Rowett's reign when we built up to the infamous game where we lost 3-4 at home to Blackburn. But the week before, we went to Blackpool and won it 3-2. And I'd forgotten, actually, there's a wonderful... Well, each of the goals in a different ways are good there, but the second goal for Mill, which was a through ball from Duncan Watmore into the path of Tom Bradshaw, who put it away in a similar style to Mihailo. It's fantastic to see. You forget that we actually played some good quality football under Gary Rowett. I think he became rather masked by the defensive side of the game. And many of us, myself included, I'm not immune to this, tended to think of him as a defensive manager, but that was actually a pretty good attacking side when it wanted to be under Gary Rowett, and I think that put to an end a little run of poor form, although we would rediscover that poor form in the second half, certainly against Blackburn a week later. We were leading 3-1 there, of course, so the attacking style, I don't think he ever fully, it was never in his heart, Gary Rowett. Maybe that was what it was. I don't know. I'm not going to revisit all that now. But certainly the second goal was reminiscent of what we saw with Reece feeding through to Eva. I'm going to call him Eva. Up front, who put it away very, very well. Just reading through Richard Corley's talking points from that 1-0 win. Tanganga stats underline his rock-like status as Neil finds a way to win. Alex Neil finds a way to win without key personnel, says Richard Corley in this piece for the London News Online. Raving, of course, about Jeff Tanganga and his defensive attributes. Teamed up with the whole back line. I think obviously one links into the other, but Jeff Tanganga is the rock upon which the foundations are built. I thought Jake Cooper did well. He tends to do well when there's a good player alongside him, Jake, doesn't he? And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just you've got a sidekick, a buddy, like in the films, the American movies, and I think that's what Jake always needs. I also want to mention Joe Bryan. A lot of the voice notes on yesterday's show were raving about Joe Bryan's performance. I think he's doing the defensive side of the game really well at the moment. I would love it if he could improve going forwards a little bit, but I do think that the defensive side comes first and foremost. And there's actually an article on the South London website where he describes how they've been working on getting their defensive game together, and that really did show, especially Tuesday night. Tanganga is a steal, says Richard Corley. Millwall were ultra resilient defensively to frustrate a Portsmouth side who ramped up the pressure in the second half. I thought they looked pretty good, Portsmouth. I thought they got bodies forward. If they'd have had a more clinical finishing aspect to their game, they might have done us some damage, but certainly we kept them at bay. Richard Corley says it seems a bit unfair to single out one player from an assured and determined back line, but he's still going to do it, he says. There must be plenty of clubs at this level who are ruining the fact they didn't move for Japhet Tanganga when he was released by Tottenham in the summer. Can we hold on to him is the gist of the piece? I don't know. I think Japhet is a Premier League defender, listeners, and I would understand his desire to play at the highest level possible. Who wouldn't understand that? Whether we can keep him for the remainder of this season and maybe make some moves in the summertime, I don't know. I don't know the terms of apparently there's a release clause in his contract, so that may be a factor in his decision making. I don't know, but certainly at the moment he is an absolute rock, as Richard Corley puts it. And in this piece, he also goes on to praise Alex Neil, and one of the voices that I've just played in that little montage that I put together there. Because obviously he's working with a squad that is decimated in terms of injury at the moment. As Richard puts it here, Mill's head coach has had to contend with a major injury crisis and deserves credit for finding a way to still get results in a crunch sequence of matches. There's an interesting piece on the South London site where Alex Neil describes why Aaron Connolly. I've got to get that out of my head, listeners. I don't know how to do it. I keep saying Aaron Copeland, who's a classical music composer. Anyway, Aaron Connolly. As to why Aaron is not being used as in a more central role, Alex Neil feels that he's better suited the way we're playing at the moment with the players we have available to that kind of slightly wider role, where it allows him to cut in. He had a good shot at in the death of the game on Tuesday, swerving. It just went wide. Another day that goes in, and it's an interesting piece. But certainly at the moment, Alex Neil is convinced that he's playing him in the right position. Good piece. Now then, I've had a late message from Jim, hence this late bonus edition of ACHTUNG Millwall. So we're going to play Jim's piece now, and we'll be back after that.
Good morning, Nick. Jim Hackett here. Very late with this, but hopefully it will just get managed to squeezed onto the podcast. I think the game the other night, I think at the end of it, it was like a big sense of relief all round. You know, we've gone through that little period of not being sure where we were, what we've got, and we've come out of the other end of it actually quite positive, knowing we've got a couple of decent acquisitions there, and some of the, I suppose, the lesser lights actually shining through and proving to be very valuable for us. I thought the keeper Roberts, I thought he looked nice and safe. He made one catch from across in the first half that I think was absolutely fantastic, and it seems to settle everybody down then anyway. Kramer, I think, got ripped apart on the night, but then against a winger, I think he's unlikely to be as good a fullback as we'd hope, because he's not a fullback. He's a centre back who's trying to do the best that he can, and up to that point, I think he'd gone well. So for me, I still think we've got a diamond there. I think in time he'll show even more value, more than he has already. And Cooper and Tanganga were very solid all night. I think Portsmouth sort of played into our hands by lobbing the ball forward and expecting to win everything. And unfortunately, them two, they're colossal when it comes to that sort of game. And they were both fantastic. And Joe Bryan, for all the critics he's had the last couple of games, he's really done well. And I've got a feeling that, he's sort of turned his own corner, hopefully, and I realise that you've got to defend first and then worry about the pretty side afterwards. And I'm really pleased for him, because when he plays well, I think the team comes out of it very good. Denor and Saville in the midfield, I think for me, I like Denor. He's my sort of player that I like to watch him play, because he's always trying to get things going, and he's a little dynamo in there. George Saville, again, for me, I'm still not convinced, because I won't forget what he did in the other game, and as much as people want to draw a line under it, I think it says something when the chips are down and you're looking for somebody to lead. What he did, I still think is a little bit iffy, and I can't sort of forget that and put it to one side. So for me, I'd have Ryan Wintle in there, because I thought when he came on, he looked nice and solid and bright and looked like he could contribute. And if we got into the end of the season, then why not use him if he's got fresh legs? And then we come to our other lads. I think what more's deceiving, because he can have sort of one decent game out of 3 or 4, and he keeps coming back and keeps coming back. But his contribution is as much as he can give, but I don't think it's enough for us now. I think we need that little bit more from him or somebody in that position. So with him on one side, Connolly on the other side, he's like a breath of fresh air. I think if we suddenly got somebody who can hold the ball, looks a little tired, he can turn quickly, and he's looking to score goals. Very much, I suppose, when we had Longman last year at his best, I think Connolly is already at that sort of level, and I think we've got more to come from him as he gets fitter and gets more games. So very happy with him. And then you've got RBW, who, despite that miss of the century at the start of the game, didn't let it affect him too much, kept going. And then when he put that sublime pass through to Mihailo, then I thought that was worth the entrance money alone. Just that pass and that finish. I think Ivanovic now suddenly, he looks like a different player. And if we can get those balls, I think somebody said he's a striker that can play on the last man, and that showed what he can do. If we get the ball into him in the right areas, he can get away from defenders, or if he doesn't get away, they don't catch him. And his ability to finish, I think that's where in the past, this season, where we've got into those positions, we've missed the goal, or we've missed the target, or the keeper saved it. He had enough about himself to put it in. So very happy with him. And again, the subs that came on, you could see what was going on. The ball was getting launched in. We were not slow to react to second balls, but there's a lot of second balls ending up with Portsmouth. And I did think, after the start of the second half, I thought it was going to be a long 45 minutes, and it certainly turned into that, because we didn't do enough with the ball when we had it. I think if we can get it to Connolly, he's safe. But apart from that, there wasn't a lot of safety when we did have the ball. So, there's things for Alex Neil to work on. But overall, I think looking at what we've got, and I think we've gone back to that point where when we are struggling for numbers and there's probably not a lot of options for the manager to put in, that seems to be us at our best. We did it a couple of years ago with Rowett. Went up to Coventry with a bare 11 and ended up nicking a win there, and that sparked us off then. And I'm sure now, the way we're going, even without the injured players, there's enough there to get us over the line. All we need is to get a goal, and the rest of it can sort of fall into place. So long may it continue. You know, if we go forward and we can keep going with the spirit they're showing, I'm sure there's something there. But for me, very pleased with the Portsmouth result. Very pleased for Alex Neil, because I think he's had a little bit of criticism, and to be fair to him, he's neither up nor down, is he? He's very sort of grey and can sort of say things without being too passionate about it. But hopefully, you know, he's going to buy into what we've got at Millwall at some point, and the way we're going, we can get to the end of the season and reevaluate. But for me, I'm very positive after the last couple of results. And we go forward, QPR. So come on, you Lions.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, the QPR game, I was just reading on the club website, listeners. What's it now? It's Thursday morning as I'm recording these words to you, and it's approaching a sellout. There's about 900 tickets, I think I read, left for the Queen's Park Rangers, which is good. I mean, it's a London derby, not far to come from West London to South East. And 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon kickoff, everything that you could possibly want. So it promises to be a decent atmosphere in the ground on Saturday. I really hope so. It'll give some of our newer boys a taste of what the Den can be against London opponents. I wasn't going to call them rivals, not really, are they? But certainly London opponents in Queen's Park Rangers. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. I'm real buzz about the place. I think that, you know, there's the praise that we were just talking about before Jim's message for Alex Neil managing a very stretched squad in tough circumstances. I think and the results, of course, it's easy. You know, it's a game of fine margins, as they say, isn't it? So 2-1-0 wins on the spin, and suddenly there's a buzz about the place, and you know, everyone's gone from slaughtering the players to praising them. So that's football. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? But yeah, we do seem to play our best as a club. I think it's always been so that with the backs to the wall and with options limited, somehow we dig into some kind of mystical Millwall spirit of some sort. I don't know what you want to call it, listeners, but we do seem to play at our best when things are looking, you know, at their toughest. We are never much good when we're favourites, or you know, with an embarrassment of riches. I mean, how many times in our lives, I was just talking about the Blackpool game under Gary Rowett, which then would finish up in the catastrophe of the 3-4 loss when we seem to have the world in our hands. So, you know, there's something deeply psychological about that. Maybe if we ever collectively want to do it, we'll sit on a psychiatrist's couch and work out where that all comes from. I don't know. I think it's a need to be forever, you know, to be forever the underdog. I think that's it's a need. But yeah, good wins. 2 wins on the spin gives us a 10-point spread with 37 points clear of Derby, I think it is, in the 3rd relegation spot on 27. And, you know, if 50 points is indeed the mark, and there's nothing guaranteed about that, then we just need a few more wins and we're edging closer to it, and championship safety and all that comes with that, because that's what the whole season rests upon, doesn't it? So yeah, a lot of, you know, go along with all the praise that Jim outlines there. George Saville's an interesting one. I thought he's played well since his mental collapse versus Cardiff. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know what that was all about. Whether you should dwell on it or whether you should whether it leaves a mark, in a grudge or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. It's not particularly helpful if it does. Clearly, Alex Neil sees something. He's still fielding him. Wintle came on last night, didn't he, as a sub? And clearly, I don't think Alex Neil's anyone's fool. And, you know, he would have seen what happened there against Cardiff. He will work with George Saville in training, and I'm sure they would have had a full and frank conversation afterwards as to what lay behind that. Now, everyone can make a fuck up in their lives, God knows. All you can ever do is try and work it out. So I take your point, Jim. I take your point, but as long as he carries on being the George Saville we've always known and respected, then you can forgive a blip. If that's it, then it must be a blip, not a regular thing, of course. Missed the century, poor old Reece Bangura-Williams. I must admit, when he missed that, I thought, oh God, here we go. The promise, the bubble has been pricked. The promising replacement for Romain Esse has been shown to have no clothes on in public. But lo and behold, he produced that killer ball that we included in our montage earlier on, listeners, and it shows what he has got. What a quality player. I was even looking through my YouTube algorithm, threw up some Arsenal type raving about how Arsenal need to make a move for Millwall's Reece Bangura-Williams, which made me laugh. Because we seem to have a production line of top level talent at the moment. I don't know how we've struck it, but I mean Reece's career is an interesting one. The rejection slips, and we nearly rejected him too as well, according to Wikipedia. So luck plays such a big part in a player's life, doesn't it? It was interesting. One of there was a Sky commentary made the point that non-league. He's come through the non-league system after being rejected by various EFL clubs. So you might be surprised at this skill level. That's never been so. I haven't been to a non-league game for a little while now, but I went through a phase of going reasonably regularly. And one thing I was struck by non-league, and I don't know if any of you non-league aficionados out there would agree with this, is you do see some skillful players out there. What you don't see, I suppose, is the fitness levels to keep doing that, the consistency to repeat, and achieve a level with that skill regularly all the time. And the other thing I suppose you'd have to say is that you're up against often opponents that maybe always gives any watching scout the get out that we're only playing against Isthmian level defences. So, but there is some good level of skill. There's a player called Richard Kone who's playing for Wycombe, scoring goals, and it's really not even a year since he was playing not so far from where I am recording right now at the Newham Leisure Centre for Athletic Newham in the Essex League, playing on their pitch. It's got the athletics track surrounding it and less than zero atmosphere there. So there are players out there. I'm really hoping that's where our focus will be, because that, if you want a way to find diamonds in the rough that you can find for very little and sell on for decent money, then there is a large catchment area, in London, of players like that. And Kone, who's scoring, I think, for Wycombe, is a great example of that. When you see the conditions he was playing in, to stand out there, you've got to be pretty good to do it. So anyway, my point being that Reece Bangura-Williams is the kind of find that we want to find more often, and that way progress lies. There we are, dear listeners. Bonus edition of ACHTUNG Millwall. I want to say a big thank you to Jim Hackett for sending that in. It came in late and I thought I'd do it as a bonus edition, a little short, sharp wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Just a little repeat. I've mentioned it every edition. I make no apology. We're doing a T-shirt via noonelikes.us.co.uk. noonelikes.co.uk T-shirts. No Lou clothing, basically. There's a Food Hub benefit T-shirt on there. And £15 it costs you. £8 of that 15 quid will go to the Lions Food Hub. Martin at No Lou Clothing is doing it for cost, and that is fantastic. And if you can, there is No One Likes Us, noonelikes.co.uk. I was just trying to find the website. £15 ACHTUNG Millwall T-shirt, like Lions Food Hub benefit. Great way to support the Food Hub. Great way to pick up a gym T-shirt, doing your garden T-shirt, going to Millwall T-shirt. You could even use it, if you really want to wash your car with, and, it'll make a great wash rag. But whatever you use it for, main thing is get it, because it benefits the Food Hub. And I just want to say a big thank you again to Martin. He's got plenty of other decent stuff on there as well. Just looking through some of the other gear that he's got on his front page, sweatshirts, jackets, T-shirts, headwear, Peaky Blinders style headwear with your little Lion 1885 logo. Nice stuff. So yeah, do check it out, listeners. There we are. That's the end of our bonus edition. I hope I've left you satisfied, dear listeners. And on to the weekend, QPR game. So until then, dear listeners, thank you for listening to this bonus edition. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.